Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to take a look at UModeler X's paint tools. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a cube here right in our scene. And I'll go ahead and put this guy right here. Great. So now that we have this cube, let's keep it pretty simple. We're just going to focus on understanding where some of the paint tools are and how to get started. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and select this object that I have created here. And I'm just going to go ahead and head over to the UV editor. Now, currently the mesh is technically already kind of UV'd enough for us to demonstrate the paint tool, but I'm just going to go ahead and hit cube just to unwrap everything and just understand that when you're painting, you want to make sure that your mesh has all the UVs laid out properly, so that you're not painting over UVs, or you shouldn't have UVs that are overlapping on your mesh, right? But in this case, this is going to be a pretty simple one. So we'll just go ahead and hit cube unwrap. All right, so I'm going ahead and close this window. So now that we have our cube completely unwrapped and we took 3 hours to model this cube, just kidding. What we're going to do is go ahead and select the third tab. So the first tab is modeling. The next one is rigging, which we've talked about before, where I rigged a character. You should check that video out. But the next one here is going to be painting. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And here in the painting area, you're going to have the painting mode. And so we're going to have a few options to select. And so the first one is here. And what we're going to do is select this. And down below, you get to select your resolution. So what I'm going to do is click this. You can select anything between 128 to 248. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at 248. And this is going to be pretty standard. And you can change the background color, but I'm just going to leave it just like this. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and hit start painting. All right, great. So now we're in the painting mode, and it's pretty amazing that UModeler X has a painting mode directly in Unity. I thought it was amazing already that we're actually 3D modeling in the package and rigging in the package, but now we're doing painting. And so I wanted to kind of cover just a few of the tools just for people to kind of get started and how to use it. So what we're going to do now is take a look at some of the settings here. So we have materials where it says what materials are on the object itself. So basically what this means is this particular box has just one material assigned. Now you can have multiple materials assigned, but in this case we only have one. And below that, you can select the material mode or the viewing mode. So we can select preview, albedo, metallic, smoothest, mask, UV. For now, we're just going to leave it at material, but just note that you can kind of change these as needed. Next, you can change the preview resolution. I'm just going to leave it at 248, but you can change that as well, just what you want to preview it at. Now, the main feature of it here is the layers. Now, if you're not familiar with layers, most programs or painting programs are going to have this. But here you can actually set layers for your painting. So what we're going to do here is look down in this section, and it's going to show that we have albedo. You can select a solo. So if we have two, so I'm going to click this plus here, and I'm going to get to select which type of layer I want. I'm really only going to take a look at the paint and fill layer in this video. So I'm just going to click paint layer. And so now we have paint layer and then paint layer 1. And so we can actually move these and change their direction if needed, if you want to kind of relayer them, right? The next thing you would want to do if you want to do solo, so for instance, if you only want to have one layer scene, so let me demonstrate that. I'm going to go down and select the properties. And having this selected, you should see properties here. And below, I'm going to go ahead and select the color. So let's go ahead and select red as an example. And as you can see, as you hover over your mesh here, you're going to see a red color in this case, or whatever color you chose. Right now, it's not that dark. So what we want to do is go back over to our properties and take a look at the opacity. So if we bring the opacity back to 100%, we can actually see this here. So Pretty much like most painting tools or any type of drawing tool, you just go ahead and click and you can go ahead and draw directly on your mesh. Now it looked kind of spotty, so what we have to do is kind of mess with some of the properties. So this is basically your brush. And so within your brush, you have different settings. So you can change the opacity, the hardness, the jittering. So we can change it to where it's either smooth or kind of jittery, kind of broken. We can also change the spacing. So what I'm going to do is leave the spacing and the jittering down to the lowest, and we're going to get a smoother, as you can see. So it's going to look much nicer there. It just kind of depends on what you need. But if we want to get rid of this here, we can click on the next option, and that's the erase tool. And we can also change some of those settings as well. And so what we can do is just go in here and erase as needed, which is really nice. So it's pretty amazing that we can do this directly in the engine. Next, we can select the rec field. We're not going to kind of mess with this or the AI for now. We're just going to kind of keep it basic, but we can continue there. So next, what we did is you notice we painted on this layer. And so what I can do now is go to the next one, change the color to something else, and then I'm going to paint this like that. Great. And so now if I hit solo, we're only seeing it by itself. Okay, so we can still continue to paint just like so. And if I take that off, we're gonna get the red. And if we move the layer up, and now we have that. So it's kind of cool. We can go here and we can erase as needed, just like so, which is pretty nice. I love it. And if we want to go to the red and kind of edit this a little bit, we can do that as well, which is nice. And we can just delete everything here as well. Awesome. All right. So another type of layer you can get to that will be pretty useful is the fill layer. So now we have a fill layer. And what we can do now in this fill layer is, if we want, we can go to preview mode or we can go to albedo. So the albedo is going to give us that pure white. This is just, there's no shading, anything. It's just the color that you're applying to the mesh. So what I'm going to do is move this layer to the bottom, and then I'm going to change the color. So we can change this color to something like this or this here. And so now you have that color. Now, if I were to go and paint on another layer, so let's do that. Let's see here. I'm going to change this to the paint tool, and I'll change it to something like a purple. And we can change the size as well. And so now we have that. And so now we can paint directly on here as well. Awesome. So now we're just kind of painting and kind of getting used to the UI. And that's what really the purpose of this video was, is to kind of demonstrate how quickly you can get up and running with the paint tool. All right, so a few other things to kind of look at. We're gonna go head down. Now, what you don't see here is all your UVs. So what we wanna do is export this. Now, taking a look at the top, you see this little toggle here. What this toggle is going to do is allow us to be able to see this in object mode. So for instance, if we're not actually done painting, but we don't want to export the actual map yet, but we want to move on to some other object in our scene, say I want to paint this next. Normally what you would do is just kind of click here, go back in here, and then you would just move on and start painting this object. But you still kind of want this here. So what you can do is go back into paint mode. And then once you select this little wrench, head over to the materials section and click this toggle. Then you can go back into object mode and you're going to have your shader there, and you're going to be able to now navigate through the scene as you normally would. And then you can start painting or modeling or whatever else you feel like doing. I think it's a great convenience tool so that you don't have to export the map completely just yet. But if you are ready to export your map, you can do that. So let's go ahead and do it. So say we're done with all this and we want to export all of our layers down to one single map. So we can actually go down and click on at the bottom albedo, and we can hit export all or export a channel, but we're just going to click export all and we can actually export that. And there you have it. We have our map basically here. What we can do is apply this material to this object. And as you can see, this is already assigned here. And so you can just see your object here. So even if you go into the painting mode and turn this off, you will now see the map being used and applied in your scene. And this is kind of how that would look. Pretty nice. Well, that's pretty much the basics for painting in UModeler X. We don't want to get in too much of the details. We just want to make it easy for you to get started and to understand kind of some of the basics of kind of getting in there and just going at it and kind of giving it a try. It's not hard. I think that's the amazing part about using the paint tools inside of here. It's not convoluted. It's not complex. It's just complex enough for you to get started, and then you can get better at it and start using it. And just start learning how to paint right inside Unity using UModeler X. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to stay up to date with the latest features and updates by hitting the subscribe button and clicking the notification bell. More exciting content is coming, so you wouldn't want to miss out. See you soon.